Good morning, everyone, and this is the tarot of the day for the 21st. It's a beautiful day out. The election is over and the results are in. Win, lose, or draw, they're done. And it is the day after a full moon. Hope everyone was able to release some stuff and charge up everything they need, their crystals and their water and all the things that are needed to be done on a full moon. Busy time. But I am going to chuck out a reading now. All right. Okay, so in our earth energy, we have that decision that needs to be made yet again. And it's kind of one of those things where it's almost like a crossroads decision. We have a lot of things that are changing rapidly in what feeds us, what develops us, and what kind of grows us. And sometimes it can be a conflict of two things that we really feel strongly about. But this decision has to be made eventually. If it doesn't, then the tumultuous sea that we see in the background of the card will swallow those ships whole and destroy them. Now, if we take a look at the in-depth symbolism behind that, we have two ships which are generally representative of pentacles and wands, which is passions and things that nurture us being tossed upon the sea. And the sea is intuition and emotion, and it's being driven by the wind, which is thought and conflict. So essentially what's happening right now is we're just in a position where we're weighing out all of those elements. And I kind of encourage you, if you're making a decision, to weigh out those elements as well. Am I allowing my emotions and my intuition to capsize my ship and destroy it? This is one of those situations where our emotions and intuitions can actually destroy what we have building. Am I allowing the wind, the thoughts, the conflicts, the communications to drive my boat into directions that I don't really want it to go? Because sometimes we allow ourselves to do that. We start on an adventure and our intuition and our emotions are sound, but we allow our thoughts to drag us into troubled positions where we capsize our own ship and we drown. And the last question is, do I have enough on the boat? Do I have enough things that nurture me, enough passions to keep this thing afloat? You need that ballast to keep yourself balanced. So choose wisely and choose with all those things in mind, or your ship may be capsized today. That also is echoed today by what we have in the good old air suit here, or in the air house here. It's the Major Arcana Death card inverted. Death is not a bad card. It's always one of those cards, kind of like the Devil, which is the most misunderstood. It doesn't mean physical and literal death. It means that it's time to put something to death or allow something to die. And what that means is that when something is put to death or ends, something new and glorious is going to come in its place. Whenever we look at the Death card, we see the sun is rising in the distance. We have the Rosicrucian cross, which is representative of the Protestant Reformation that initially started with a lot of turmoil and problems, but it actually was one of the greatest liberators for German thought. When we look in the background, we have the little boy giving death the flowers, the rebirth. We have a lot of rebirth presenting itself as well. We have an inverted card. That means that you know that there is some sort of a thought, there is some sort of a internal conflict that you are not ending, that's impeding your ability to make this decision. So it's not really a good thing to hold on to things that are dead. When you hold on to things that are dead, they eventually rot your hand. So whatever is dead, put it away, let it die. Flip this card and allow yourself to make this decision. In our passions, we have mastery, which is really awesome to have. With the Eight of Pentacles, we see the sorceress or witch or whoever you would like to identify her with, sitting there with her familiar, the raven, on her shoulder, and she's shining up that pentacle. All the other ones are done, and they're up on the wall as if they're trophies. This is when we've actually when we actually went down the road, worked it really, 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 really hard, and we're starting to get to see some results. We're starting to see some mastery from that. And in regards to our passions and in regards to our fire energy, that's a really good card to have. It means that we are moving forward and we have all the tools at our disposal. And those things directly relate to our decision as well. We have the equipment we require. Those ships on the Two of Pentacles are full of good quality stock. And the quality of the ship itself is very good quality. So what you're carrying around with you in these decisions are good. What your the integrity of your decisions also from a passion standpoint are amazing. So don't worry about that. Just figure out your thoughts, figure out the conflicts around it, figure out the cost of what this is going to be, and also try and figure out what's happening on those waves. Try and figure out the emotional and intuitive turmoil that might capsize your boat as you make these decisions. The Eight of Swords is actually our water card for today, and it's inverted. This card I've gotten a fair bit, but for those of you who don't follow my channel, I'll explain it again. We have a maiden who's trapped inside a circle of swords. She's bound with a rope that has no knots, and she's blindfolded by a blindfold that is only being held in place by the wind, or energy. If she just stops for a quarter of a second and kicks off those ropes and takes off that blindfold, she'll realize that the only thing that's holding her trapped in her position is her imagination and feeling those swords if she wanders around and bumps into them. It's inverted. So as that applies to the water on our decision-making thing, we have the sea that's tumultuous and tossing back and forth. I think that we're allowing our emotions to get the most of us when it comes to this decision that needs to be made. Additionally, with that, we are not trusting in the intuition. The funny thing about a ship at sea, or this decision that needs to be made, when we are bobbing up and down on the ocean, if we trust the waves and if we kind of roll with the waves and point our ship in the direction that's going to be the safest, we will roll through the waves and they won't destroy us. But if we try and fight the waves, that's when water starts logging onto the ship and going into the hold, and we start getting bogged down with that emotion, and we start not reading the intuition correctly, and we capsize and go down. So what's standing in your way is yourself right now with this decision. So break free of that and start moving freely towards your objective, and whatever that objective may be in the decision you have to make. And I really hope you make that decision. It's a very specific reading for somebody out there. I'm not too sure who. Our head card, inverted Nine of Wands. Our heart card, Knight of Cups. Head card, Nine of Wands, actually applies very nicely. It's inverted. Nine of Wands is when there feels like there's a need to defend yourself or defend your position. It's a preparation for a possible conflict, or also it's a preparation for kind of holding fast with where you're at. It's inverted. This decision that's presenting itself is presenting itself in two different ways. One is the new option, and the other is the old option. Because your new option, you're going to have to defend your position with. Your old option, well, it's just the same old mundane. We're going to work on this. We're going to get things going. Yeah, it's this decision. I can see why it would be very, very hard. But again, it comes back to this water energy, the Knight of Cups, which is the fast-moving intuition and emotion. And we're seeing that we have the Eight of Swords inverted in our house of intuition, and our house of magic, and our house of emotion. And we're seeing that if we trust those waves, things are going to be good. If you choose to move forward, which I think is probably your best bet, because you're don't really have the strength to fight the naysayers, but if you're able to invert that card and fight through it, I think you're going to find that the Knight of Cups, the emotions and intuitions, are going to drive through. You're going to be actually quite successful with this. But again, the decision is completely yours. And that, my friends, is the tarot of the day for today. A very specific tarot reading. Like, subscribe, share, and I will talk to all my friends tomorrow.